to SoulWhat, a Soultopia podcast with our producer, Matt Stoker. I'm your host, Michelle Welch.
And I'm Roger Welch. So, what's up today, Michelle?
Well, today we have with us Ketra Richmond, and I'm very excited. She's a friend and a friend of Soultopia, and she's a mommy to her 10-year-old son. And first of all, I'd say she has truly proven herself to be a jack of all trades. I think that's something I noticed from the first time I met her. How about you?
Oh, yeah,
She
definitely
she
so.
seems like anything you talk about, she's well informed. Not a know-it-all, but very
Yeah.
well informed. Yeah. As a mommy to her 10-year-old daughter, Jordan, and 24-year-old son, Jay, she has made it her mission to create a lifestyle and legacy that she can pass on to her seeds for generations to come. Ketra, I knew I'd do it. Ketra is a Texas Realtor, boutique owner, career consultant, published author, and recent founder of a women's nonprofit foundation. It's not a foundation, it's a nonprofit, Enough Today. With a full plate of responsibility, she takes pride in aiding and uplifting all who she encounters in her walk throughout life, regardless of monetary status, in an effort to elevate self confidence, self love, and self admiration. Welcome to the show, Ketra. So glad to have you
Thank you.
on. I'm so
Thank you
glad
for
to.
having me.
Oh, thanks for coming on. And you look absolutely amazing. You're,
Thank you. You do too.
yes, you always do. We haven't talked as much in the past, I'd say month or so, but I've been stalking you a little bit on your story on Instagram because
Yes.
you
I
had
see
a
the likes and the love. I
yeah
appreciate it.
you had like a birthday month, I think, or a week or something, and you were showing all your beautiful outfits. I mean, you were
Thank
definitely
you.
a fashion goddess. I mean, seriously, right? You
Thank
always,
you.
I mean, and always smiling. I mean, like maybe not always, but you light up a room, especially every time you would come into the store and into Soultopia. And tell us a little bit about, to start with, what got you to be someone who would come into a store like Soultopia, like a store with crystals and things like that. Can you talk about that a little bit? Is that something new to you? Is that something that you've done all
Yeah.
your life?
I'll say that it's been over a year since I've been a customer at Soultopia, and it is still something that's new to me. Just learning about metaphysics and crystals and sage and all of those different elements. Initially, I decided to come into Soultopia because I felt like um, I was at a point in my life where I felt like negativity around me, and I just had a certain energy that I wanted to have lifted, like so badly, to where I was like, okay, well, let me find outside sources, like maybe what would be seen as not the norm to some people, to see how I can remedy it, whether it be through Reiki or crystal energy or just cleansing through sage. And I actually found Soultopia just by Googling. And I have to say, like, visiting your store and coming inside there and meeting people like, Carlton and Ashley and
Mm-hmm.
yourself, it really has helped me throughout my entire journey. Because going through a shift, or some people call it an awakening, is not easy. If anybody says that it is, they are lying. But you guys definitely helped to make it a lot easier.
Yeah. Well, and don't let Keisha fool you, you guys, because she says she's like new to all this. But I remember, like, maybe, I don't know how many times it was, and I'm in the kitchen telling her, the kitchen at Soultopia is saying, okay, when are you going to teach a class? I mean,
We were just talking about that
yeah,
too.
we're
Keisha
just
says
like,
the same thing.
she's
I'm
always
like, you
saying
keep
that.
trying to put me in one of those rooms, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
So let's talk a little bit about, you've got two big things going on. You have this book that's wonderful,
Right,
and then you have your nonprofit.
right.
And let's talk about your book first. And I'm sure they tie together a little bit, or maybe I could be wrong about that. But we have your book here at Soultopia, and I want to say your book quite a few times throughout the show so that people
Yeah.
remember it's Shell of a Woman. And you guys, it's one of the most, I'm really picky about covers of books. I just came out with a book too. And like,
Yes.
this is one of the most striking covers of a book.
It definitely grabs your attention.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
always telling them in the store to turn it this way, because when they turn it, bindings, yeah, it's a cute on the side, shell of a woman in pink or whatever. But when you turn it this way, people are just drawn to this cover. And so it's Shell of a Woman, A Journey to Heal My Broken Pieces. And tell us a little bit about why you decided to write the book. What led up to
Yeah.
that?
So to touch on the cover, the reason the cover is like that, it's very intentional because throughout my process, kind of the undoing of who I used to be, in a sense, that's how I felt. I felt like, the side of my face that you see that's photoshopped and kind of looks like the image of a Barbie doll. That's what I was trying to present to the world daily. However, you have the other side with the brush, and it felt like I was falling apart and putting on this facade, just trying to cover up what was going on in my life with material things. And anytime anybody would ask me, how are you doing? Are you okay? I would just go on and smile and act like everything was all right. And I never took the time to fully admit that there was something wrong and really get to the depth of it. But what truly inspired me to write a book was really just the process of going through my entire journey. I went through a really bad breakup after divorcing. Ironically, when I divorced the end of 2018, I thought that was like the best thing ever. I thought the grass was greener on the other side. And I immediately jumped into this relationship that proved that the grass isn't greener on the other side. And there was a lot of healing that needed to take place in myself before entering into a relationship with someone else. And when that relationship fell apart, and in connection with that, when my finances weren't the way that I was used to them being, I lost a lot of things at once, and I really didn't know what to do. And so I had pretty much two options. I could either cry about it or continue to cry about it, because I cried a lot. There were a lot of moments where I was in fetal position in the middle of the floor, just trying to figure out what was next in my life. And I'm a person who does a lot of research, and through my researching, I wrote a lot of notes to figure out how I could, push past what I was going through and heal. And those notes turned into journal entries, which ended up turning into the book. And the book was actually supposed to be a curriculum initially for Enough Today, for my nonprofit, nothing more, nothing less. It was just supposed to be this confidence course curriculum that would help other ladies. And I let a couple of people read it. And my sister in particular, she asked me what was the purpose of the book. And I had her, read everything. And she's one of those that, she has a book on her phone daily. She's always reading something new. And she replied back to me, and she told me that I, in her opinion, wrote like a seasoned author, and I, would be doing myself a disservice if I didn't publish it. So I decided to put it out. And, a few months later, a lot of people have reached out to me and told me that the book is helping to shape and change their life as well. So it was kind of my own, losses or presumed losses that triggered me becoming a published author.
Well, it's interesting that you said that it started off as, maybe would you say workbook or a journaling exercise? Because it is, and it's really good, you guys. I really want everybody, and trust me on this, I want you to buy my book, but I want you to buy this one too, because everything through here, no, I'm kidding. This is a great, well, I'm not kidding, but you really you break it down. And I love your table of contents. I mean, because I love that it grabs people. And I wanted to just do a little thing with you here.
Okay.
Okay. So you say one of your chapters or contents is 2 + 1 = 2.
Yes.
Could you explain what that means?
Yeah, so there's a point in the book where I talk about getting pregnant. And a lot of people don't know about that chapter in my life. They know about Jordan, my daughter, they know about Jay, my son. But what a lot of people don't know is there was a pregnancy that took place after I got into the relationship after my divorce. And it was a really, really, really difficult decision to make in regards to deciding not to, have the child. And it was a decision that still, I guess it's a moment in my life that's still difficult, to talk about. It wasn't until after I even published the book that I went and, or right before I published the book, that I told my family about it. I didn't want it to be like any sort of surprises or anything like that. So I let them know that it was a moment in my life, that took place. The person that I was with made it very known that it wasn't something that they desired.
Right.
And I was kind of left with the decision of, is this something that I do by myself, and I have to deal with this person for the rest of my life, who has made it known that they don't want to have anything to do with the situation, and they're really showing me with their actions that they don't want anything to do with me? Or do I proceed with this, with the procedure, with the abortion, and kind of decide to pick up the pieces and move on from there. So it was, yeah.
Well, I'm sorry that I went straight to,
Oh no,
but let me
good.
tell you why I think it's so important that you put it in the book is, clearly there's so many women that need to hear somebody else talk about that. It's, because so many women have been through it and don't talk, and then they don't talk about it because people have such strong emotions about it, but yet it's something that really needs to be processed. And so I think it was very, very brave of you, and more than brave, just helpful of you to put it in the book for people.
Right.
And I think
I wanted to include it just because, like you said, it does become like kind of this taboo discussion. I think when it comes to the woman's body, we have, like, even in politics, people saying what should happen, like, to us. And I will say this, since I am speaking on it, it's been over a year, and it's still something that makes me feel a certain type of way. And I'll say, make sure that if it is something that you are considering, that you have a support system. It is not something I suggest anybody to go through alone, no matter how strong you are. Make sure that you do your research as far as how the procedure works, how long it will take for you to heal, and just make sure, like I said, that you do have people that are around you that can support you, and that you can actually reach out and talk to, because you'll definitely need it along the way.
Right. It's really, really, really wise to tell people, because especially, well, everyone, but I think younger people too, like in college and things like that don't necessarily have their support. They think they have a support system around them, but they really don't necessarily have that strong support system that they think they do sometimes. Yeah. So, and then another, I'll throw another one at you, because this book, and throughout it, there are, questions, or there are prompts kind of for the journaling. And you talk about codependency, and you kind of, I like, because you like, it remind me of me in the sense that we think of things in a different way. We'll question things, and we like to both research. Let's see, out of the chapters, which one do you think you would want to most talk about? And you don't have to call it the chapter, but because I may not call out the one you want, but because they're all so interesting, the topics.
Yeah. So 3 of my favorite chapters, 1993 is my favorite chapter, reprogramming mindset, and I would say guardrails. Those are 3 of my absolute favorite chapters. 1993 is my favorite chapter because that chapter touches on the year that my parents divorced. And as an adult, when I finally realized that year had such an impact on my life, it really helped to break down certain things it helped me to realize why certain things were taking place in my life, why I picked the men that I was dating, why I, decided, or why I would take on so much from people, leading me into knowing and realizing that I was codependent. With the chapter Reprogramming Mindset, that one's my favorite because it helped me to realize that the way that I thought and the way that I was brought up is not a way that I had to remain. It's not just because, at the time when I wrote the book, I had lived 38 years thinking one way didn't mean that I had to spend the rest of my life with that same shifted and distorted point of view. And guardrails is my favorite because that particular chapter helps to remind myself and other people that it's okay to set boundaries and it's okay to tell people a very unapologetic no when you're not able to do something for them or when you just don't have time or don't want to.
Right.
So I would say that those are my three favorite chapters for those reasons.
I love that too because I spent so much time in my life. Guardrails is you actually give the Proverbs verse 4:23, guard your heart above all else, for it determines the course of your life. And I think that if we don't, I spent so much of my life telling a lot of people yes to please. And then it backfires though a lot of times on you because at least it did on me because I would tell maybe 3 people yes that oh yeah I'll do that and I'll do that and I'll do that. And you just use a
And she runs
simple
out of time.
example. I run out of time, or I have 3 dinner plans, and not that I was that popular to get that many, but it just as an example.
Okay, we know you are, Michelle.
No, but like even when I was younger, even it'd be like, oh yeah, I'll do that, and oh yeah, I'll do that, and then when the time comes, I'm going, oh, now
Right.
2 of these people are going to be really mad at me, and but I was doing it out of a people pleasing mode.
Right.
Is really what I was doing.
Pleasing. And then in addition to, you feeling like the people are going to be mad at you, it's like, where is the time for yourself in there? When do you have time to breathe and sit down and do what you really wanted to take care of in your own life?
Right.
And, I discussed that a little bit more in detail in regards to giving from your overflow. Just talking about filling up your own cup and taking care of yourself before you decide to extend yourself and obligate, your time towards people's dinner dates, as you said, because I've learned with myself, like if I don't take time to, do even the simple things like shutting my phone off at 9 o'clock and just saying, I can't accept any more calls. I love you. I like you, but I have to do this for me. So you're absolutely right. There comes a point in time where you have to kind of block out how other people may feel about your time and just turn everything off and go inward and focus on yourself.
Yeah.
So, how did things that hurt you in the past help shape your future?
The things that have occurred in my past, as I was going through them, Roger, honestly, I really didn't know like how I was ever gonna get over all the things that I went through, from, the breakup, from me having to change my lifestyle as far as the sort of place that I lived in, the car that I was driving. And I mean, just overall, I took a whole lot of presumed losses. But I came across, I think it was a meme or something like that, that said you're pretty much just saying that you're not going through this, the things that we're going through, we're not going through it to hurt us, we're going through them to enhance other people's lives. So I feel like everything that I've gone through has helped to not only shape my future, but to help enhance others. For instance, when I have conversations with my mentees, my initial discussion whenever I pick up a new mentee, they're always like kind of nervous. And I think a lot of people are that way when it comes to telling somebody that you need help. It's so hard to do that. But I start out by telling them my story, just letting them know that, I started Enough Today. I, started my nonprofit because one thing that, I made a vow to do once I got on the other side of that hardship was to help other ladies. And the reason that I'm able to do it is because I come from a point of view of not just being, this counselor or being someone who went to school for psychology. I come from I'm the person who, like I said, was in the middle of the floor crying and going through these things, and I had to learn them myself. I had to learn how to look at things from a different point of view. So I know 100% that everything that I've gone through has helped to shape my mindset in more of a positive way in order to help other ladies win in their own life.
Do you think that it caught me, well, something caught me in your bio that I'll come back to, but it catches me in your book that you said a little while ago that you, surprisingly enough, that heartbreak was after your divorce. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
as like Soultopia, as a reader, I'm sure as counselors, I'm not a counselor, but as a reader, 90%, someone told me the other day that 90% of all readings and astrology questions come down to love issues. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
now, I don't know if I agree with that fact or that stat or not, but she gave that stat, and for at least for her business, that's what it was. And
Right.
she was on a program that I watch, and I'm curious what you think about and what advice you give, if any, to a lot of, and it may not just be women, but
Mm-hmm.
women who maybe are coming out of a situation and they are immediately, many of them, wanting to get in another relationship, or maybe they're already in that relationship before they come out of the other relationship.
Right.
And, I'm not even just talking about a cycle, I'm just talking
Mm-hmm.
about what kind of advice do you give about maybe the need to regroup and find yourself? I mean, I have heard people say you should wait a year before you see somebody
Right.
else. What do you think about all of that after what you went through?
Um, Yeah, so I wouldn't say that there's a particular time limit, but there's a part of my book where I say that I never took a moment to heal before deciding to give my heart to the next person. I never took any sort of time to just say, okay, who is Ketra? What does Ketra want? What could I have done better in the last relationship? What part did I play in that? Why? What is the real reason as to why it didn't work out? I was very, very naive going into my new relationship because I didn't ask those questions. I just walked out very egotistical, thinking, it's all his fault. I'm better off without him. And I jumped right into another situation that at the time looked different, but it was the same situation, just wearing a fancy suit.
Mm.
So I would say to anyone who is looking to get into a relationship after divorce, because I don't think anybody on this earth, wants to be alone or
Right.
anything like that, even if marriage isn't the end goal, just partnership and being with someone, that's kind of what a lot of us seek to have. Just take time to breathe, take time to really just make sure that you're whole, make sure that you're sure of what it is that you want, and just really know yourself. Because I'll say that dating now, I mean, I went all 2020, I didn't realize it, but I guess pandemic helped too. I went all 2020 without going on one date. And just really taking that break, and now getting to a point, I'm now at a point where I can say, okay, maybe I am ready to date, maybe. And maybe I am, ready to entertain the thought process of seeing other people. And I can only come to that point because I know who I am. I know what I will and won't put up with. And I'm at a point now where I am able to establish those boundaries. And I'm not, as you mentioned, like how you said you have been before, like saying, being a people pleaser. I'm able to look at myself and know in confidence, who I am, what I want, and what I will and won't put up with. So I would just say to anyone, just take your time and just really know who you are. It just makes the process so much easier when the next person comes along.
Right. Yeah. Well said.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, what about your nonprofit? Tell us about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so with Enough Today, it's a organization that I came up with to help women that are currently in positions that I was in the past. A lot of my mentees are from, actually, surprisingly, the ages between 19 and 25. You know, they're figuring out life. And the main thing that a lot of them really need help with is just figuring out what it is that they're supposed to do in life, you know, figuring out their purpose and taking time to just really look at life from an angle of what it is that they want instead of trying to please other people, you know, trying to go down the lane of a career path that their mom or their dad or whoever wanted them to do. So I help them to just really get on a path of understanding like what it is that they want in life. One of the things that we offer is career writing. I'm sorry, resume writing. We help them with career assessments. We show them how to dress for success. We also help them just overall from head to toe, like with hair, clothes, makeup, everything. So the whole point of Enough today is just to help women to understand that it's okay to not know exactly what it is that they're, you know, supposed to do. I think a lot of times, just as women, especially, we're kind of thought to be like these superheroes, you know, like we always have to wear this cape. We always have to help everybody else. You know, we wear all these hats. Like I mentioned in my bio, kind of being a jack of all trades. And we get to a point where we think it's not okay to put that down for a little while. So my point in establishing Enough today, just even in the name itself, is just letting people know that where they are today, it's absolutely enough. They don't have to, you know, look super far into the future. They don't, you know, have to look at their past. They just need to focus on where they are today. And then little by little, we could talk about where it is that they're trying to be, but just showing them that it's okay to appreciate where they are currently.
Yeah. One of the things, the thing that you did say in the bio that I read that jumped out to me, because having been on many sides of this monetary status issue, of, you know, been there, done that, okay, for me in my life, a lot of the high life and stuff like that I liked how you said you take pride in aiding and uplifting all that you encounter in your walk through life, regardless of monetary status. There's a reason you put that in there. I mean, because that is very purposely put in a pretty short bio here. And you said, in an effort to elevate self-confidence, self-love, and self-admiration. So what is it that made that so important to you to put in your, you know, in that relatively short bio?
So the main reason that I wanted to add that originally came from my boutique bio. So with my boutique, J. London Boutique was created to help women to express themselves through fashion, no matter how much money they had. When I first got into the multifamily industry, so just to back it up a little bit, I used to work with my dad at his body shop. So, you know, I wasn't a secretary, I actually worked on cars. So he just wore sweats and, you know, ponytail, and that's what you wore. No makeup, no nothing.
Okay, so you just went way up in Roger's viewpoint, just let me tell you. That just went points there.
He's like, what? I thought Ketra she comes here all fancy.
Wait just a minute.
Lots
Sweatpants and a ponytail?
No, I'm talking about working in the body shop. Yeah,
I
about
was
cars.
Working, you know, wax on, wax off. I was fixing fenders and everything.
Yeah. I can't change
but
a tire.
When I left, you know, that life, and then I switched careers, I didn't know how to dress, and I would see these ladies walking around the office and Banana Republic and Taylor Loft, and then I'd go to the mall and I'd see how much these clothes were. And at the time, I think 17 years ago, starting out as a leasing consultant, I was making like $11 an hour. And granted, you know, my apartment was half off, but still those clothes are expensive. And I figured out like how to shop and how to find brand name bargains for cheap. So I would go to thrift stores, garage sales, you know, do closet clean outs, just whatever I could do to look like my peers. And, years passed, and a good friend of mine, she encouraged me to start the boutique. And that's that line came from the boutique, because I wanted to show people that there is a way that you can express yourself and you can still look nice, and no matter how much money you make. But it further enhanced that tagline as I went through my own financial struggles, because one of the main things that my mentees need help with is understanding how to save money. They have a lot of different financial goals. And even though, I'm now 40 years old, 2 years ago, I would have been ashamed to say that I had financial troubles. But now that I'm not in that position anymore, I'm happy to tell people just 2 years ago, I had a car that was repossessed. I had an apartment that I had to move out of. I had a credit score that was looking mighty low, but 2 years
Ketra, that's everybody in Plano, Texas.
Yeah.
I said, Ketra, that's everybody in Plano, Texas. Come on.
Don't say that. But 2 years later, along the way and throughout my journey, I've learned how to, increase my score. I've learned how to put a great amount of savings to the side, and just get back to a point where I can have the lifestyle that I want in a healthy way, and not being like this book cover where I'm trying to front and put on kind of this facade. It's like I truly have my ducks in a row. So I aim to help ladies to understand like how to fall into the same sort of line without having to stretch themselves, even if it's, putting $50 to the side in savings per month. It doesn't really matter what your status is. Like I can help you to create whatever future it is that you're trying to see.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
So tell us, I mean, because you were talking about earlier about setting boundaries and things like that. Just a real quick rundown. What's your easy line of how to set boundaries?
The easiest way, I would say, to set boundaries is to just I had to just cut people off cold turkey. And I know that might sound mean, that might sound harsh, but there was really no workaround about it. The more that I found myself trying to come up with excuses, the more that I would find myself backpedaling and, just kind of thinking over here, well, are they mad at me? Should I call them back? Just giving an unapologetic no and walking away from it just really helped me to establish certain boundaries. Especially when you are a person who is used to being a people pleaser, who is used to, telling people yes when you really mean no, and then you get upset about it. That's the easiest way to establish boundaries, is really just to say no, and to write out a list of other things that you could be doing in that time that you're typically used to offering up to other people.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So when like a mentee, as you say, comes to your 501c3, so how does that process begin? I mean, number one, like tonight is a way they find out about you, or through different events they find out about you and the 501c3, and I need to get the name of it right. So it's Enough Today.
Enough Today.
And I know that. Okay. And there's this great pamphlet. Do you still use the same pamphlet? Because I love it. Matt, can you show it? Yeah, it's quite striking, and it has all the information on it for people, and you get it with the book. It comes in the book. So what would it look like if somebody was listening and they wanted to, and I'm not talking just say, okay, just email us. I'm saying, what is it like to actually come or where do they go, or is it online to get involved?
So the best way that they could actually book, the process is just to book online at IamEnoughToday.org. And then when they do that, they can decide to either book via a Zoom, or they can book for face-to-face, which right now we're just, obviously doing the Zoom mentoring right now. And then once we have our first meeting, the first meeting honestly is just chatting how we are right now. It's like talking to a friend. It's never, I don't think any of my calls with my mentees or anything that's strict or stringent. It's just me letting them know why I established enough today and just really getting down to the nitty gritty on their end as far as why they contacted me, what is it that they're trying to do, what are your, your soft goals, what are your long-term goals. If and one of my favorite questions is, if money was not an option, what would you be doing today? And then my goal is to see how close I can get them to that particular career goal and still help them to, obviously, in the world we're in, to make money with their dreams. So that process, that initial process, is literally just going online to I'mEnoughToday.org, booking a time to talk, and then we chat from there.
Right. That's awesome. Do you have, or have you yet had fundraisers for your 501c3 for Enough Today?
I haven't just yet. We haven't set up one, but I do hope to have one in the summer.
I want to be involved in that when you do. I mean,
Yes.
any way we can help.
Yeah, I'd
because
love for you to.
that was my thing. Every committee I got put on, it was always the fundraising committee because I'm not afraid to ask.
Yeah, I know.
Well, if I believe in something, if I don't believe
Yeah.
in it, I'll kind of stutter around and like, hey, do you maybe want to do this? Now, the only thing I'm kind of afraid to ask is to sell my own stuff in my store. It's not because I don't believe in it. Roger will he's looking at me funny, like he's.
Matt knows that.
What?
That you can't sell anything out here.
That's not true. I can.
This is shiny.
No.
This is shiny.
No, we do have a funny story that he always tells about when we first started, that we were at Chi Omega Christmas, Ketra, and we had our bracelets. And so we had, Roger built this beautiful booth. I still to this day, that booth was probably prettier than our stores. I mean, it was the most amazing
I can't
booth.
even imagine that.
And, and the booth.
And I built it in the dining room.
And these booths there are like, they bring in like VW buses, and they make, it's amazing at Chi Omega Christmas, this big, what they do. And so we were a vendor, and he made this great booth. And instead of selling anything in the booth, I'd say, there are these great essential oils down, about 3 things. You need to go check them out. And he'd look at me like, what are you doing, Michelle? And of course I believe in our products, because I wouldn't have, left law and everything I did to open the stores. Of course I do. But I found it's me, again, like your book talks about, growing into the confidence of, believing in what I do, not just supporting everyone else and believing what everyone else does.
That's me every single day. Like, even with you asking me to be on the show, it's like, okay, I've gotten to the point where I've, done several interviews before, and what's crazy is I'm in sales. I'm in software sales for multifamily, and I'm pretty great at what I do, but it's something about selling someone else's product and then versus selling yourself or, selling yourself to other people. And I don't know if it's the same for you, but just being so new to this, I guess when I go out and I'm selling someone else's product, when they tell me no, like I really don't care. I know I'm going to be back and ask you again. It doesn't make me feel any sort of way. But I guess since this is like my thing and my baby, like when someone says something negative about this, it's kind of like your child, like, hold up, wait a minute.
Yeah, like I'm going to throw this book at you if you say that again. Yeah, and everyone warned me not to look at the critiques on my book. I had a lot of close friends say, don't even do it. Don't look at them. Don't. And of course, you're like, and then there's the one guy who's like, oh, it reads like a textbook or somebody, whatever it says. And I'm thinking, where are you? I'm going to throw the book at you. No, you're like, read it. But no, finally you kind of get used to it and you realize. But
it's funny that you mentioned that, but that was my only hesitation of putting the book out. And it was my baby sister who told me, she's just like, okay, well, if there's somebody who says anything negative about it, at least you have one more person to read it. And it's going to be for whoever it's for, whoever it's for them. Whoever it's not for, let's just hope they pass it on to someone else or give it enough buzz to where other people want to read it.
Right. Do you find, Ketra, that women respond well to you? I think because of the aura you have that women
You
do.
said that, you mentioned that a long time ago, even before I realized the energy that I was giving off. You mentioned that about a year ago.
I think that is what helps you maybe that to not put off other women, because you know how women can we can sometimes be our own worst enemies. I mean,
Right.
I'm being honest, it's the truth, ladies. If you don't believe me, it's the truth. And we can sometimes be that way. But for you, it seems to me, I mean, look at you, this cover, no matter what, mask or no mask or whatever, you look beautiful on it, but yet your aura is something that people are very much drawn to. Your essence, they're
Right.
very much drawn to, and I feel like they can trust you and
Right.
talk to you. And I know the fact is they really can, because I know I can trust you, and I've experienced it. So,
Right.
have you found that throughout life, any situations where people are a little intimidated by you, or do you feel like because you have that natural magnetism that people are drawn to you, that you don't find that as much? Do you understand what I'm asking?
Um, as far as being intimidated, I wouldn't necessarily say that, but I have had people tell me in the past, if I'm not smiling, I have like the resting bee face, but they don't really
I've
know
never
like what to
seen
think of
that.
me. But it's something
No.
about when I smile, they're just like, oh, okay, you seem sweeter. It's not as like I don't feel like I should be as standoffish with you. But you mentioned it about a year ago or so when we were talking, and you said every time I come into the store with Jordan, we always have this energy that is inviting. And one thing that you pointed out specifically is you told me that as I get to a point where I know myself more, and I come to grow into that ball of energy, as you describe it, is going to get bigger, and that glow is going to be brighter. And you also told me, I don't know if you remember, you use the analogy of like I think you said a porch light, and you said the same way that moths or bugs are attracted to that light, that it causes that light to get dimmer. And you mentioned making sure that I have like my boundaries or my team, kind of my soul tribe around me to protect me from unwanted energies and things like that. But I've just made sure, and you're right, as I've come more into knowing who I am and just being more confident in myself, I do notice that people are a lot more drawn to me. But in addition to that, I've been able to recognize energy in the same. But yeah, I have noticed that women, they don't have a problem speaking to me, and I think a lot of it is because I come from a very genuine place. I'm never trying to be judgmental or,
Right.
mean or harsh or rude. I truly want to help others to get better in life or do their best just to make sure that they're living life to the fullest, because I can say there were people along the way that truly helped me. But I don't think that I really had someone throughout my journey where I could just pick up the phone and just say, I'm having a really tough time right now, and someone who wasn't, a counselor or, someone that I had to pay. Like, I just didn't have anyone who I could just call breaking down and say, I need you, just can I have a moment of your time? So I just, like I said, as I grow and as I glow, I just want to make sure that I'm exuding that energy where people know that, I'm here for them and I have their back, and there's no reason to be standoffish or intimidated.
Right. Right. I love how you put that. No, I don't ever remember anything I say. That's kind of
Michelle.
I really don't, especially if I'm in a reading. I really, it's very rarely. And people say, and you said this, and I was like,
You're like,
oh,
did I? That was good.
yeah. Yeah, well, clearly Michelle, the person, didn't say that. Somebody channeled that to Michelle, because no, but yeah. I had
That's
somebody
so
come in the
funny.
other day, and she goes, "Don't you remember I met you like 4 years ago, and you told me?" And I was like,
No.
"No," but it's not intentional. intentional. It's just because I try to keep confidentialities, and so I kind of set the intention to forget. And I also don't want to build on a reading from another time. So
Right.
if I give a reading, I don't want to then like build on that the next time they come to me. So
Right.
they might get an opposite reading if that's what's supposed to come through. They may
Hmm.
get a yes one time and a no the next time, and
Right.
that way I'm not trying to validate what I
It's
said the
not a
time before.
conflict.
Yeah, and it may be a conflict, but if it is, it is. I'm not trying to validate my own reading with
Hmm.
another reading. Does that make sense?
Right.
I don't want to
Yeah.
do
Yes.
that. I want to be genuine in the readings. So I think that we're gonna take. If I don't know if you're following, for if anybody has a question for Ketra,
Oh,
but I also want you to tell us where again, uh, the best way to get a hold of you. And I will tell you guys, we have a few books left at Soultopia. But so if you're going to buy some books, you can get them at Soultopia. But where else can they get the book?
Yeah.
And your
So
website? And yeah,
they can get an autographed, personalized copy from me at shellofawomanbook.com. And the order comes directly to me, and then I can personalize it and sign it and send it out with some goodies. If they want to go on Barnes and Noble, Amazon, it's pretty much everywhere online. So, but those aren't autographed, just to throw that disclaimer out there. And then they can, of course, come to your store and get some beautiful pieces. Those are autographed copies or signed copies as well.
yeah, right.
So there's several different ways. It's like no excuse not to have it. And it's, as you see, it's a wonderful book to have. One thing that I did want to touch on for those that haven't had an opportunity to actually pick up the book, it's not just a sit down book where you're just reading about like what to do in your life. In every chapter, I have an opportunity to say what's going on in my life. And then directly after that, there is an opportunity, or a mirror, as I like to call it, where you have an opportunity to look at yourself, assess your own life, and write and keep it as your own personal journal.
Right. It's very interactive. Have you done a book club yet on your book?
I haven't, but that's one of the things that I've had somebody to suggest to me that they wanted to get started for the spring.
Yeah, I think that would be a really good
good
idea.
idea.
I would like to be involved in that
Yeah.
too. So,
Yes.
yeah, I think that'd be great.
So, are you working on anything now?
So the main thing that I'm just trying to make sure to promote now before moving on to the next project is just really pushing enough today, finding volunteers, makeup artists, hairstylists that want to volunteer to help ladies to move throughout their career journey as well. It's really just me making sure to focus on the nonprofit, and then also getting the word out regarding Shell of a Woman, since those two go hand in hand, and also rebuilding and revamping the boutique as well.
Awesome. It
cool.
reminds me a little bit. I will give a shout out to Genesis Women's Shelter. I don't know, Ketra, if you saw on my Facebook and on everything. I posted it a million times.
Yeah.
I did a donation thing, and I don't know what it's up to now, but today it was up to about like $820, and it was so. And then we found out that Prince Harry and
I
Meghan
did
Markle
see that.
donated them to them because the roof literally fell in during the ice storm. And excuse me, can you talk?
Yeah, so they had the whole upstairs
Excuse me.
totally collapse on everything, and just trying to get everything rebuilt. But
So they paid for the roof, and I saw the check, and now I can't find it, and I can't talk. Seriously, you need to talk.
can't get that out, right?
No.
So, but yeah, it was. I don't know where you were going to go with that.
Well, because it reminds me, because in the beginning, early days of Genesis, I was with them from year 2. I was project manager for Junior League. I was working at the DA's office. It was year 2 of Genesis. I'm not sure if they still do this at the outpatient part of Genesis, which is the known location. It's the published location of Genesis, not the shelter. But they have a thrift store, but they also have where they'll train women. They'll actually, train them to make up close and give them opportunity, because once they get out of these situations, they need to get a job. Many of them have never
Right.
had a job or been allowed to have a job after being basically, some have only had one car because not because of a hardship, but because
Right.
the
Very controlling situations.
exactly. And so it reminds me a lot of how you're helping women just to grow and succeed in so many ways. And it
Right.
also reminds me of one of the big initiatives with the Texas Women's Foundation, which what used to be Dallas Women's Foundation. Is one of the biggest things they always emphasized was they really liked 501(c)s that focused on working on the finances for women, especially women who are going to go through a divorce and who aren't prepared for that.
Right.
And I
Trust
remember
me,
them,
I know.
and I remember them talking about that. So, they're always, and their mission is for women in Dallas County, Collin County, or Denton County. Is it Collin too? And it's women and peripherally children for 501(c)(3). So, girl, I don't know if you've ever applied for money through there, but you might want to. The Texas Women's Foundation.
Okay.
Because you fit all their requirements and what they're looking for. At least last time I was on it. We're going to have Tony Munoz Hunt on the show, and she is, I think, chairs that grant committee for the Texas Women's Foundation. But anyway, a lot of the things you're saying, I just love. It's all the things that I know empower women in so many ways that they haven't been taught to do, or they just don't know how to do on a budget, or all those things. So I think it's very, very, very important organization. So I'm very happy for you. Yeah, very happy for you, and for the book also. And by the way, Ketra, you guys, she self-published this book. If you look at this, this is a very professional self-publishing. So she also knows how to do all that. So
Yes, I have. So my website, Vibe Rich Media, came
Yeah.
on accident. So I'm now helping two other people to write and publish their books as well. So if there's anybody who's interested and who's been wanting to write a book, or just has notes or what have you, just reach out to me for video editing and also for book questions and publishing as well.
I mean, you got it done. I mean, I remember us talking about it, and then
I had to. You remember
got
that
it done.
that janky publisher that came and he was like Swiper and took me for my money.
And then you're
So
like, I'll
everything
show you.
falls
This is how
apart.
it is really supposed to be done. And then you got it on the main, platforms and Barnes and Noble and a lot of those self-published. I mean, wow, it's very impressive because
it out.
yeah, she did. She knocked it out of the ballpark. You just really did good. And so do we want to take a couple of readings? And Ketra can stay on for or however y'all want to do it.
Don't have much time. It's
Okay.
already
Well, we started a few
8:31.
minutes late. So we'll just do the 1, 2, and
Yeah.
1 and 2.
1 and
Okay,
2.
Ketra, you can just listen if you want. You can pick a number. The way we close the show a lot of times is just pick a number between 1 and 2 for anybody listening, and then we will close the show with a little reading for the week. A little message, and so just in your
1 and
mind,
2.
yeah, just everybody. So you and everybody listening, just in your mind, pick either number 1 or number 2. And as Carlton says, and I say it everything, it's my favorite saying now. No cheating, y'all. No cheating. No cheating, y'all.
Okay.
Can you hear Carlton saying that? No cheating.
Yes,
You can't change it.
100%.
If you decide you want number 2, but you got number 1, you're no cheating.
No cheating.
No cheating now. And so he's precious. I just love him. All right, so Roger, you're going to be number 1. You're number 1, babe.
Of course I am. I'm always number 1.
That means I'm reading for myself because I pick number 2 all the time.
She's gonna cheat on this one, guys,
I won't cheat. No cheating.
No
No
cheating,
cheating,
girl.
y'all.
because I got the sun card.
Oh, yeah.
Guess what?
I want 1 now.
What card
We
did
got
you
the
get?
sun card. So the thing is for all us number 1s, because we're all number 1 around here.
That's
Because if you're not
Not
number
first, then
1,
you're last.
you're in last.
no, we're all number 1s.
So yeah, but the cool thing is that last week it was 6 degrees. This week we're getting 70 degrees. So it's going to be sunny all week for all of us. Not only is it going to be sunny and warm for us all week, we're going to have a very positive rest of the week. We're going anything and everything that comes to life is actually going to bloom right in front of us.
Did you see that meme? Speaking of memes, Ketra, I guess we can learn something. It said, I've got my snow boots, my jacket, my hat, my flip-flops, my sunscreen. It covered every season.
You have
Did
to
you see
have
that?
everything out here.
And it said, I'm
Everything.
ready to go. I'm in Texas. I'm ready to go. I've got my
Right.
swimsuit, my parka, my snowshoes, my flip flops. It's like
have
you just
everything.
don't know
Got
what
it
you're
all.
going to get. Okay, but you're going to get some excitement when you're in. When you're in Texas. For the number twos, I got the Queen of Wands, and I love this card.
I chose number 2.
This deck is by Chris Donnelly. Matt, if you can show this beautiful picture. Chris Donnelly, the Light Seers Tarot is one of my favorite decks. And I love how she just depicts the Queen of Wands because she looks like, man, there's just magic. She's holding up the wand and then the magic's just coming from her hands. So really what I'm having for the number twos is that magic that we have for the things we want to do really does come from, it's not always the outward sources, that's the help. Just like if you would need to go to Ketra and, her services for help. But that is just the help. The magic really comes from within you. And the creativity, the spark, the life. But sometimes you just might need to reach out for something to hang on to for a little bit of help, enough today to hang on to get you started. But really, just remember number twos, it's coming from within you. And even though we've been through a lot, especially, all over the world, we still have that within us, that spark. That's what I'm getting for number two. So both positive messages tonight. Yeah. So that's good. So maybe things are turning the corner. We had somebody, we had a bed frame delivered for the second time, Ketra, today. Tell her what happened.
It's the box springs. So we
Yeah,
had ordered box
box springs.
springs.
See, I don't
in
even know.
October. Actually ordered bedroom suit in October. It showed up like 6 weeks later than it was supposed to. Then when it comes in, it's got a rip in it. Finally, they're replacing it again today, and it still has a freaking rip in it.
But what did they say?
They're like, oh well, we'll get to it again.
But now, why
And
did
like,
they say?
Oh, they blamed it all on COVID. I'm like, that's not
They
COVID.
blamed it on COVID.
It's not COVID.
That sounds like
related.
me. When I was gaining weight, I was blaming everything on COVID.
Well, I think now it is, and I don't know if I'm probably the only one old enough to remember that everybody used to blame everything on El Nino. It's like there's this big
I remember
hurricane
that.
thing or something, and everybody's like, blame it on El Nino. Now it's like, blame everything. So I'm like, how can
Matt's
a
in a
ripped,
bad mood.
a ripped box
El Nino.
spring it be COVID? Blame it on COVID. I mean, they were like, it's COVID. And we're like, no, this is not.
It's not.
This is not COVID, okay? Try again. But
Yeah.
anyway, if everybody, just a couple more things. My book, The Magic of Connection, is here at Soultopia, and same thing as Ketra's. It's anywhere you want to pick it up online. It's at Soultopia, but it's also at Llewellyn Books, and then it's also on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, a bunch of other small bookstores, thankfully. And I do advocate supporting the small bookstores. Although if you buy it on Amazon, you can write a verified review for us. So that's always nice, right, Ketra? And then what else is coming up this week, Roger, just to wrap it up? I know that we have...
Oh, I don't think we have any.
We do.
We do have stuff this
Yeah,
week. I just
so
don't remember what it is.
So check out please join our newsletter. If you're not on social media, that is going to be the best way to get information from us. To know it, because we are adding a bunch of classes back in, and we do have some things
There's a
coming
whole
up.
bunch.
But there's a lot coming up this week.
Here's what you got. So you have a meditation class tomorrow night from 7. It starts at 7:30.
Is that Zoom and in person? I think
believe
it is.
You have Intuitive Insights, Bishop Arts Thursday. You also have it here in Carrollton.
And Zoom,
Yep,
Carrollton in
and
person
Zoom,
and Zoom.
And Zoom. On Friday, actually, is Nellie's class, part 2 of the Santa Marta.
Santa Marte.
You actually, on Saturday, have a Magic of Connection book signing event
Right.
in Bishop Arts.
Bishop Arts.
Yep.
Right.
There went my idea of going out of town. And then
See how far in advance we
Mudra
planned,
class.
Ketra?
Yeah.
Mudra class on the 27th.
And
That's
Yeah,
Saturday.
major class. I'm looking forward to that. Greg's teaching
Yeah,
that.
Greg's got that. And then we have a full moon ceremony Saturday.
And Carlton's doing that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That
There you
sounds
go.
fun.
Yeah, so that's what we got.
So most everything now you can catch on Zoom, but just if you would, everybody, just like us on and follow us and subscribe and set your notifications on Michelle Soultopia on YouTube. And if you like us, follow us, and all the good stuff that you have to do on Facebook on SoulWhat. And then also, like I said, sign up for our newsletter. That's always, you can do that on our website on mysoultopia.com. And my other website now for the book is michellewelch.com. And again, Ketra, one more time, give yours.
Shellofawomanbook.com, or just to keep up with everything that I have going, you can go to KetraRichmond.com.
There
All
you
right,
go. Awesome.
all right. So thanks everyone for joining us tonight. We really appreciate you, Matt Stoker, as always, for keeping us solid. And we hope that you'll be back with us next week, where we discuss matters that are important to our soul, and you discuss and decide matters that are important to yours. Thanks for joining us.
Good night, guys.